There was this guy known as Infernal Plus who made a mod for a game called Halo Combat Evolved, where he completely made the game, as the memers put it, cursed. AKA, it made the game just not right at all, gameplay and art style wise. I can imagine the chaos that multiplayer brings when people play this mod. But if there was one thing I was really curious about, it was the frag grenades, which were simple in multiplayer, only doing random damage sometimes, but in campaign, it does some random effects, which made me complete the entire game with the mod on normal. Let me just say, with some sort of big problems, beating this game is definitely doable. In fact, it is really fun playing through the game with the altered guns and whatnot. If you want to change a pace from the campaign, or simply want to play the mod without needing friends, I definitely recommend playing this game on normal while playing the mod. But that got me thinking, how hard would it be to play through the game with the mod on Legendary? I wouldn't say it's impossible. It's like saying it's impossible to beat a game with just your feet. I mean, sure, stupidly difficult, but not out of the question of, can you beat Cursed Halo on Legendary? See what I did there? Starting on the Pillar of Autumn, you will learn nothing about this mod on Legendary, other than the fact that you die easier in other difficulties. Like how Legendary works anyways. In fact, I finished in half an hour, like how I finished it on normal. With that, you're introduced to the throwing pistol, a weapon with very long lag, but a good amount of contact damage. Most effective on the Flood infection forms, unarmed, and grunts, but semi-effective on anything else. This weapon can either kill someone instantly, or do nothing, you know, depending on how the bullets end up. Trust me, you're gonna find a lot of inconsistencies later on. Next is a gun never really covered in the original video, the battery rifle. Its main gimmick is that its fire rate is sorta slow until you hold M1 for long enough. Oh yeah, I played this with PC controls. Probably one of the top things cursed about this run. It gets faster, but watch out for it can overheat and, you know, explode on you. Yeah, it doesn't always kill, but, you know, definitely does when your shields are down on Legendary. Next up, the normal plasma pistol. That is a lie. That is not what it's. That's not what it is. A very consistent weapon that is actually underwhelming. Even charging it halfway doesn't do that much splash damage, but does do massive damage on the target it's aimed at. The biggest charge only is good when you have space for it. For when you don't, you kind of just die. Then there's the magical girl gun, which is pretty good. It hones on, does great and consistent damage, even when charged will not take you too long to charge, and it doesn't kill you. Using both of these as regular guns tends to drain them, however, so always be aware of extra ones during a firefight from a safe distance. The Duke Nukem Plasma. The Big Crush Plasma Rifle is pretty effective for fast damage and can even go through Jackal shields, as there's so much splash damage that you can even damage yourself with this gun. The gun, however, burns out like a motherfucker. Better hope you find an alternative soon. Hello, it's Post-Me. I just wanted to mention this other weapon that I forgot to put in the script, and that is the 3 plasma rifles and an arm, and that weapon burns just as much as the Big Crush Plasma Rifle, if not even more, through its not only its cooldown but its ammo. So kind of like it, but different. I would say it puts out more ammo, and it definitely is really effective with characters with no shields. But if it does have a shield, it's utterly useless. So maybe use it as a finisher or something. That's all I got. Okay, bye. You can also find yourself with the Plasma Bukake. Oh gosh, I hate that name. Another thing not really mentioned in the video. It just so happens that it sticks after the first time. It does some damage, followed by it splitting into like 7 different plasma grenades. Really good at taking out groups of enemies, but lacks the range as it has a set split rate, killing the momentum. Minor thing though, but do you guys notice how weirdly balanced these guns are? Well, anyways, Pillar of Autumn down. Next, we have Halo, which shouldn't be too hard, right? Well, introducing the D20, holding way more than 20 abilities, I can tell you that. There are going to be some strats using these, but for now, if you want to make firefights easier, try rolling a whole bunch of good buffs, like a regular magnum. Yeah, that's a thing you can roll. Makes you sort of pissed off at this game, but, you know, whatever. There's also dual-wield pistols, a rapid-fire pistol, and the classic, which is basically the pistol.
Oh, that's a joke. Haha.
But let's get back to the constants. Here we have the blunderbuss. If you use this for fighting, good luck. It one-hit kills anyone in your face and is really good for killing hunters, but completely shit far away and has such slow reload speed. Though I have to admit, this is like the funniest animation in this freaking mod.
Yeah, I'm going to hell for animating that.
If you're gonna use the blunderbuss, use it for movement and nothing else really, except for hunters. It really doesn't matter if you're firing slow. When you're whizzing past flood or beating truth and reconciliation, oh gosh, or beating truth and reconciliation without firefighting, what's a grenade jump? Now here's a real problem in any run of this game, no matter the difficulty: the snarker. When shooting it yourself, it doesn't do that much to enemies, and there isn't even enough to overwhelm them. Enemies, however, will just do massive damage with one of them just owning it alone. Imagine when there are 2 grunts, and even an elite with it. We'll get back to them later on, but, you know, if you're using it, it's sort of effective, but not recommended because of it hitting not only your enemies, but actually being able to hit your allies and, well, you. The pew pew laser is pretty funny and kinda cool, but has such a slow fire rate to even consider it viable. It does good damage, but really it doesn't work when you have several enemies you need to kill quickly and not just one. The sniper rifle is dumb. Somehow though, your allies hit it way better than you. My god, do they hit it way better than you'll ever be able to. It's basically a better shotgun with a shit spread. Other than that, if you're trying to use it like an actual sniper, well. Now Halo, the level by the way, is when you start to notice how hard the mod actually is. The Covenant can really get overwhelming with so many grunts, enough jackals to annoy, and too many elites. The fire rate and accuracy of these guys is stupid. Your team will die. I kid you not.
We couldn't save them. I recommend that we stay near the beacon and wait for extraction.
The magical girl gun especially will now be carried by pink elites. Look at that! How many bullets is that? You have to use the tower to your advantage. Keep the sides covered, use the snarker, and hope to god with the D20s that you'll get something at least a little bit helpful. But in the end, this whole level is all about good positioning and using cover to your advantage. You know, typical Halo stuff. If you keep isolating yourself from the rest of the survivors for the rest of the rescues, not only will they survive, they'll actually help you win the fight. I mean, it's hard being on your own, but, you know, it's helpful, not to mention super satisfying because there are no upsetting dialogue for Cortana. I also love just filling up the seats of the sedan, just so satisfying. Now, I did have a wall spending a little over an hour on this section, but eventually I figured it out and got my way through and finished this level. It was really hard, but little did I know it would just get harder from here. Moving on to Truth and Reconciliation. Oh gosh, I cannot say that. Moving on to Truth and Reconciliation, I would like to welcome you to hell. You are introduced to the bow and arrow. May be good in PvP, but when your enemies are so far away and requires you to aim it based on what your latitude is, well, nah. The diamond axe is okay, but it's sort of slow and doesn't do enough damage for you to actually warrant using it. Not to mention it has no range. So, you want to know what my strategy is for this one? I literally let my fire team die and ran past a lot of the enemies. There really is just too much, and unlike Halo, there is no space for you to just kill them and use pure range. Add that to the fact that you have the worst choice of weapons in this mod. Yeah, I'm just gonna let my men die for me to go on. Moving on, you find yourself... Oh. Yeah. Introducing the literal sniper jackal, or as I like to call it, the sniper jackass. This fucker is the worst thing ever. Focus on anything other than it, you're dead. Focus on it, however, you're also still dead. The sniper jackass, one hit kills you, and when you got enemies coming from the everywhere with rocks that only save you from the inevitable, yeah, you better trust an eye on this one. The worst part about it is that the enemies leak back to where it was, so even if I retreat, there are interactions I still need to have. So I'm on a cliffside with a fire squad on my front, back, and a sniper jackal on my front as well that doesn't even drop the actual sniper. There's a reason why I just relied on just running by using a freaking camo upgrade. It really is almost impossible to consistently live by doing your typical thing of firing and covering in Halo CE. You have to hard hack it. Words can not describe how irritated I got until I started like just doing the freaking invisibility strat. Oh gosh, the next area is at least bearable with more space and even another invis. Like actually fuck off, truth and reconciliation. So I invis, meaning I can't come back from a break. Probably I should have done that, but hey, I didn't need it. Let me mention that this is the first wall I've ever really experienced. Like honestly, Halo's last part was tedious but doable. This part of truth and reconciliation is just utter hell. I knew for how much effort I put in, I felt like I could never, ever get close. I felt at that moment I should have given up the run. Mostly because I thought I accidentally canceled the development of the recording for some of Halo already. I also thought it wouldn't save anything when I quit and I would have to do the level over again. So I stopped around 4 AM in the morning and went to sleep, feeling more defeated than anything. The next day I tried looking up a legendary speedrun guide, only to find that he was using the regular sniper to blitz through the firefights. Thing I was doing, but without the regular snipers, so I'm like, well, the run's dead. For some reason, I felt like doing it again. So I tried booting it up again, recording again, and it turns out that my checkpoint was saved, and there was a warning sign about the space, and I was like, what? Turns out my previous tries were saved along with the level Halo. So, filled with vigor, I carried on. A lot of position shifting, using different areas, and finally using the rocks. I can't believe I didn't use those. With the geometry of the level, in fact, I could use it to my advantage. The Snarks had a hard time getting up on the cliffside, and the Marines had a good enough view of the low ground to actually have a chance to shoot at the enemies properly. I actually did a mix of defense and offense, going off the cliffside and then coming back, and actually did help separate the elites from the rest, with the elites always approaching before the grunts or jackals. It helps a lot. It's not super effective, but it seems to be keeping me alive. The only minor annoyance was that there was a soldier with the blunderbuss, who constantly killed Marines, and the stupid grenades and their negative effects. Luckily, I could always just, off the one soldier, or he would just find a way to off himself. And nothing really negative came from the grenade, so eventually I just so happened to find myself against the hunters. I did it. Through actual strategy. I'm very proud. The hunters weren't much of a challenge. In fact, in this situation, it makes it so much easier when they just melee aggro you so easily when you just get close enough. So, to the ship. Now, this next part would have been another wall, and through conventional means, yes, it is. This time, there's no special space or anything. You will get hit by the Snarkers, and you will get hit by them a lot. You may think I gave up, but little did you know, I had an idea. You see, these D20s have many effects, but one of the effects that can prove to be super helpful is the never gonna give you up dancing Master Chief. Oh yeah, this is a fucking effect, dude. Not only is this effect invincible and an existing hurt box, but enemies will aggro onto it. Add that with the Snarkers killing you and your friends as much as your enemies, you get a recipe for success. Screw you, Snarker. Now, it's low chance, but I managed to pull it twice. Once on a fail, and the next one was super successful. I even got it when I got the rapid fire magnum. Yay! Honestly, if it wasn't for me playing through the game normally, on normal, and using the D20s all the freaking time, I wouldn't have discovered this minor life-saving detail. So yeah, blunderbuss to skip a lot of the levels and bam. Honestly, anything between the last wall and the blunder skip is a minor annoyance. Even continuing on from the blunder skip to the end of this level, the only thing I can ever think of is that the Marines are too stupid to understand how the big crush plasma shots hit everything a little too well. So you know, just gonna off them as well. Just off them all. There are two funny quirks on this level. One, the music really went off when playing the cutscene. There are already two songs playing at the same time after my blunder skip, and then the cutscene sound came in and all the kinds of broken came to be.
Marines, let's move.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Chief, you have the point.
Secondly, the level skips for some reason. For both times I played through this level, both of them skipped as soon as I made it in or near the room where the sword elite should be. My normal playthrough even had keys die, but the cutscene still played. I really wish I had video evidence, that was so funny. But anyways, to the silent cartographer we go. Instead of fighting that fight, I was like, now I remember there being talk of a skip where you can go left instead of right. Then I realized that it was talking about how you could skip in the very beginning of the level. The funny thing is I am so used to going right first and doing it that way, with me putting the Marines in the cutscene to add more funnies. So this was weird. The cool thing is the game is aware that you skipped it and went out of order, and that's the first time I experienced that.
This isn't the map room. Analyzing. This is a security override station for the main facility, located somewhere else on this island. Shut the system down so the Covenant won't be able to lock us out.
Let me mention that you actually do run into two different guns. The first one is the reverse rocket launcher, which sucks. I'll guarantee you that you actually can't hit shit with it, if at all. It really is unuseful, especially during PvE, so don't bother using it. Then there's the double pistol, which I actually think is inferior to the regular Magnum, which you can get from random D20 spawns. The dual Magnums disable your ability to throw grenades, aim with a sight, and uses more ammo than the regular one does. Honestly, I love the amount of control you have with a single Magnum, even if it doesn't do as much damage all at once. But personally, while not bad, it is pretty inferior. Still, it's a treat anytime you get it. Yeah, I would have to say this one is actually pretty fast and much easier than the last one. You could run off from much of your fights, and there's enough room and elevation to avoid all the problems of the last level. Nothing really much to say. So yeah. Moving on to the assault on the control room. In this level, there's going to be a lot of times where you will fight the Covenant in small areas. Now, it's not impossible, as there's enough cover for you to actually defend yourself against them, but with how much there is in each room, it's mega irritating to fight them. Afterwards, however, you'll find yourself against wraiths that shoot 5 shots that home in on you. These things suck. The ghosts don't work very well against them, as they spin when you shoot. The tank is basically useless, and its strongest shots have 2 barrels 45 degrees from where you're facing, which is a mega inconvenience, but funny as hell. And the warhogs also do shit. Not to mention you're gonna have to fight this big part where there's so many enemies, and when you have barely effective weapons to boot, even on normal mode, this level kicked my ass. So I decided to deviate. When I was looking for level skips, as I know it has level skips as an early 2000s game, I found nothing for Truth and Reconciliation, which was upsetting, but I did find an exploit for Assault on the Control Room, where you could despawn all the enemies by jumping to this cliff, jumping to that point of the cliff, walking over here, and jumping over right over there. Now, you may say this is unfair, but I don't give a shit. No, but for reals, let me point out that 1, my sanity was almost gone trying to figure out Truth and Reconciliation. So much so, I wanted to exploit that shit, and I did, but not without suffering, so basically I did not save face. And 2, it took me hours to do this glitch. I don't have all the footage as I was running out of space, so I had to delete some of the runs, but there was a lot, and I mean a lot, of trial and error for this. So much so, I believe I made it to a point which was like about 4 or maybe even 5 hours, where I definitely would have finished the level normally anyways. I gotta say though, it was so satisfying to pull off. So this level in the bin with no trouble at all, especially here, man, this was utter hell from what I remember. Moving on to 343 Guilty Spark, which was sorta hard and maybe a bit confusing, but just like Silent Cartographer, it wasn't impossible. You'll get to a point where you'll make it, don't worry. This is especially the case with the Flood. Like I mentioned, the Flood are weak to the pistol if they're infected forms, and the battery rifle if they're spores. The things to really mention is that Keys kills himself during the cutscene, which is really funny.
Oh, this is local! Get back here, Marine! That's an order!
But the soldier who goes crazy also kills himself, which is considerably sad actually. Not much of a problem in the end, so moving on to the library. There are some minor things. For one, you actually spawn with the double pistols. What? Okay, buffed already. Now, the Flood aren't endless in this section, but they do spawn in waves. It's slightly irritating, but it gives you a chance to find a blunderbuss to help you maneuver. Just don't die as Snarkers or the Super Soaker? Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys about this thing. This level requires a lot of horizontal space coverage actually, and while it can be helpful in skipping seconds in some vertical parts, it's really risky and not very rewarding to use, and the blunderbuss can do the same thing, but better, so yeah, it's not very useful. Getting the blunderbuss helps you skip a lot. Granted, you're gonna have to fight some firefights, but for one, it's not like you don't have enough space to fight them, and the Flood goes down pretty easily anyways. They get overwhelming if you do get cornered though. Other than that, there are times when you can skip entire fights when you're supposedly locked, but they give you a small space to slip through because, you know, you have this gun that skips entire firefights, so... Piece of cake, what do we got next? 2 betrayals? That can't be too... Oh, wait. So, I guess the game is getting back at me for skipping last time, but don't worry. I don't need any more skips to help me. There's a lot of space, not to mention grenades to waste. No, like really, this was a tough wall to climb here, but trust me, it's downhill from here. I'm unintentionally lame, but also lying. There's another wall actually. Yay. There are too many enemies, not enough ammo, and definitely not enough D20s to solve this problem. You're going to have to do some luring tactics because trust me, it's hard to go guns blazing like how I sorta did with the Flood. I had to utilize the plasma Bukakis because the 4 count for the grenades only exists on 343 for some fucking reason. I killed the top floor, so that was great. Now I gotta deal with the rest of them with not so much ammo and a lack of checkpoints. Not to mention I gotta get to the bottom, otherwise no one will spawn over there and this will be utterly useless. I decided I actually wanted to go the other way. It's impressively much faster and safer to go the other way without the Wraith, which has 2 elites, but I don't care. Now the main gimmick of this level is to go to certain places through Banshee, or Flying DeLorean Warthog thing, to touch a beam and make it explode, while also, for just the last 2, finding another wave of the same enemy guarding it near your exit. It can get really hectic, but again, with the layout of the section specifically, it's totally manageable. The Maw constitutes as the last obstacle on our way, and honestly, the last thing we have to do honestly scares me, but there are plenty of things to worry about before that. Oh, and if you're wondering, I don't know if it's the mod or Halo PC itself, but Keys is locked from us, so we don't need to play through it. Also, it's spelled with 2 E's. Apparently. There are a lot of firefights. There are even hallways that spawn infinite enemies if you don't make your way through them fast enough. Minor annoyance, but it pales in comparison to blowing the freaking fuses. Now, you know how the rocket launcher is utterly useless, the fuel rod basically neutered in this situation, and the frags only exploding a % of the time? Well, that means that the Bukakes are the only answer, and boy, I wish they weren't. These things suck at blowing these things up. Sometimes they spread too far away from the thing to do enough explosive damage, sometimes they go off too late, and sometimes they split too early. Not to mention they are sorta scarce and I'm forced to fight waves of enemies just to hope that the infected elites drop plasma anything. But I eventually get through it all, and with the sentinels that never miss, the flood that never gives up, eventually I got to this part, which gave me a rough time on my normal mode, but only because I was using the D20s a lot despite me using them a lot already. But, you know, Plasma Bukake, best answer. Here we are. I have a wide assortment of vehicles. Why am I getting into the reliable? I don't fucking know why, but I chose to do this in the reliable Warthog. I don't know why. The challenge on the Cursed Halo video was not even to bring it all the way to Legendary, it was not to get it flipped.
Like, seriously, if you could actually get this one through the entire run without rolling it, you would be a hero.
Which I did constantly. I spent 7 hours that I know I'm not getting back. The thing about the reliable is that it only has 3 wheels, which the old Warthog has some balance issues with it already. Now that you have this thing tipping over by fucking turning, a perfect run without or even minimal tipping, going through each ramp perfectly and landing without falling over, going through each tunnel with good timing, and even a nice jump for the last part without tipping over or running into the thing. It's all possible, but very, very unlikely. I tried to do this. I tried. I knew I had to brake a lot, especially during the jumps. I drove fast as well, when only needing to drive straight, and no matter what, I still tipped over. I also found my rocket launcher flood, since the rocket launcher flood in this mod are, well, useless. The blunderbuss flood. They will shoot you and completely ruin your run. Sometimes the sentinels don't spawn in time and the flood aggro on you. Sometimes this tunnel flood is not killed in time and you get decimated. Sometimes you will ride straight into the ramp, only for the flood to notice you and be like, hey bud, what's up? There were a lot of annoyances. At the beginning, sometimes you had the fuel rods and the freaking plasma bukakes thrown by the Covenant. The lasers never miss, and so you end up dying despite you starting the vehicle and moving. There was a lot of times when you just hit the side of the ramps. There were so many things that can ruin your run. I slowly started to get doubtful. I felt like I was really close to a certain time, and then never. Finally, I gave up the perfect run because it was impossible to be. Also, in the middle of the last level, I was actually about to go on a plane to Vegas, so I had to stop it and bring this whole video idea here. I kind of took a break from doing it, and well, I felt like I really couldn't do this. But then I started to realize how I could definitely improve the run. I mean, do I really need to go through the drops? Do I have to slow down here? Can I just push the gas and run into the wall in front? Do I even need the ramp here? Why don't I just skip it? All I really had to do now is wait for the flying laser bots to move out of the way, and probably the most revelating piece of info for my stupid brain to figure out, do I even need to go that fast? I even tried it once to just go on and see if I could make it, and with 10 seconds on the clock, with the blunderbuss, I almost made it. I always thought I had to be here at 2 minutes to at least have a chance, but it turns out I only need like, what, 1:30 at least? I think. I don't know, I don't remember. I figured it out. I know that the perfect run is not needed. I just needed to... blunderbuss, safety. Oh my god, I did it! It's over! I don't know how to feel about this tidbit, but this is the first time I actually cleared Halo CE on Legendary and saw this cutscene on my own terms. So take that as you will, and with that, the challenge is done. And that was Cursed Halo, and boy, did it suck on Legendary. I actually only spent maybe a week's worth of time with the first run on normal, taking 3 days only because of school. I finished this 20 days after the mod was released, almost 3 weeks after the video was posted. Boy, do I need a hobby or something. This was an interesting challenge, and while I wasn't tuckered out on Halo, as it's been a long time since I had it at the palm of my hands, it still was fairly interesting and a nice twist. Would I ever do this again if he ever did a cursed mod for Halo 2? Probably not. If he makes it so that the energy sword frequently turns off when you hit it randomly, or for the Spectre to have ice physics, fuck that. This mod is way too hard for its own good on Legendary. Sure, it's fun on multiplayer and on normal single player, but maybe that is what it should be. Fun. Not an actual challenge for only the skillest of skillods. No, fun. I honestly had fun with this mod on normal, and would recommend a run on normal. Trying it out on Legendary is downright painful. Hopefully this is a cautionary tale. Just enjoy the mod and not be a masochist. But now I'm at the ranks of Rocket Sloth, so suck it, nerds.